I just sit back here and listen to, everything I've taken in so far today. And, there is just so much for all of us to grow from. And here in Australia, we are so incredibly fortunate to have, such a beautiful union and astrological tribe. So I'm very, very honored to be part of that. So let me share my screen. And that is not my presentation. He's a little friend that visits me as my screensaver moves from place to place. So, sure. All right, so just before I start, as Mark was just sharing, I would like to talk just for a moment about two events that are occurring this year. Each year I go to Greece, and each year I try and come up with in-depth events. I am a very Scorpionic person, and even though I'm not a Scorpio, and I like to do depth. And one of the things I am passionate about is Greece and the incredible gifts that Greece offers us as astrologers. Learning about the Greek myths and visiting the sites and embracing the gods and the goddesses. And I am very blessed and fortunate to be able to do this each year with a small group of people where we have our own bus and we travel. Each trip has a slightly different theme. So we go to different places because Greece is a big place. And we evoke the gods and the goddesses, and we visit the sites, and we have beautiful, intimate sharings about astrology. And as Mark finished off, we have a lot of fun, as well as opportunity to step out of the busyness of life and create a very special sacred space where we can look within. And that, after listening to everything that we've just heard from Julia and Diana, it makes it even more apparent to me that opportunities to create spaces where we can look within and take a step out of the busyness is actually incredibly important, even more so perhaps over the coming period. So there's all of this info is on my website. And if anyone even just wants to ask me some questions or go on and look at the brochure and see the beautiful pictures, please feel free. And if olives and feta are not your thing, maybe pizza and pasta is, because just after Greece, I am very blessed yet again to be speaking with my friend Mark Lawrenson and three other amazing astrologers, Lynn Bell, Martin Sebastian Moritz, and Maurice Fernandez. And I realised, Mark, apparently this is the Astro Haven conferences for men whose name begin with M and women whose name begin with L. I don't know how we did that, but anyway, it's going to be wonderful. This is the where we will be holding the conference on beautiful Lake Como, and we are literally right on lake frontage in a beautiful 17th century hotel run by a family, 5th generation, amazing food, and 5 great speakers, all giving 2 presentations each. So we've got 10 presentations, 5 of us, and a forum at the end of the conference. And it's going to be only small. There is a maximum of 29 people, and we have about 8 places left in twin share rooms. But the twin share rooms are all private bathrooms, and each floor has a beautiful lounge area as well, and they're quite spacious rooms. So anyway, if you would like to know more about what we are presenting, or curious to just know more information, just as we've been listening to, sorry, guys, I do not know why that is happening, because that's turned off. Please feel free to contact Mark or myself, and we can give you all the information required. So that brings me to what I'm here for, which is, of course, Pluto, and Pluto in Aquarius, nonetheless. Now, like Julia and Diana, this is a huge topic. And 25 minutes feels like not even being able to scratch the surface. And as you would have heard from what Mark shared, I am a person-centered counselling astrologer. And I have spoken today a little about Pluto this year, but of course, Pluto is not just about this year. Pluto is about the next 20 years. So I have also approached this from a personal perspective. So anyway, it's it's a psychological planet. It is an unconscious planet. It is a transpersonal planet. It is a collective planet. Now, all of the above is Pluto ticking these boxes, which just in itself is telling us that it is about the generations. The generations born, apart from a small period later this year when Pluto moves back into Capricorn and then back into Aquarius, where it will continue its journey then until it completes in about 2043, 44. It is about the next generation, but it is also about the impact on the generations that are still here on this planet that carry different Plutonian imprints. But it is also very much about the psychological. Pluto wants us to look into the unconscious. And so, this is, for me, one of the really big gun players that is a shapeshifter. That's a tongue twister. A shapeshifter for society, for the generations, and for us personally. Because as we know, we all have Pluto in Aquarius transiting somewhere in our chart. And of course, society, the collective globally, as all of us as citizens of the earth are experiencing Pluto as a collective. So there are many roots and many layers to this topic. And I am launching a new YouTube channel. I say a new one. It is the first one. So it is very new, and that's going to be starting from our Aries new moon eclipse that we're having very shortly. And I definitely am going to be talking a lot more about this planet because it is very close to my heart. And I've also experienced very major Pluto transits in the last 20 years of my own life. So I feel like I've really danced with Pluto, and I hope that today I can share a little of that in a more intimate level. Also, just watching my time. Mark, please feel free to maybe give me a 5-minute wind up, because Mark knows me very well, and I'm sure Julia's getting to know me, and Deanna definitely knows how I like to talk. So please let me know. Okay, so let's just reflect. I would like just for this next image I'd just like you to look at this picture, and I would like you to feel whatever it evokes within you. Because for me, when I saw this, I found it very powerful. And so I just want you to breathe it in whilst I read this little piece that I've written, which is when we call Pluto into our lives, he is not to be feared. I'm calling him he, but we'll stick with that for now. But he is an opportunity to delve deeply within ourselves, confronting our darkness, and ultimately emerging stronger, harnessing our inner power for the ultimate outcome, which is, of course, profound personal and spiritual growth. So Pluto knows that we are ready. We are ready as a society to open our arms to this energy, and we are ready on our personal journeys to hold his hand and descend into places that may not be so easy, but are requirements for our evolutionary growth. And so I think with this energy, it is with all the energies, it's very important that we feel its thrust, and we don't feel afraid, because every planet, whether it be where we've chosen to have it seated in our chart, or whether it's where we have chosen for it to show up, it is we are ready, and that planet is here for our best interests because it knows we are ready to shift up a gear. So let's explore a little further, because I really want us to get to know Pluto over the first half of this presentation before we look at what else is being offered. So I want to take you on a little bit of a journey. And let's start by reflecting on two very important archetypal energies that Pluto symbolises. Now, everything I am talking about I am talking about for society, for the generation, and for all of us personally. It's all relevant. So these are probably my two favourite Plutonian symbologies. I can't go past Hades, the god of the underworld. You know, something I just want to mention here in case I forget down the track, and I think one of the girls also mentioned, Julia, perhaps. Pluto absconded with Persephone, Demeter's daughter. And so when we are working with Pluto, please always consider Ceres, who is Demeter in Greek mythology, because they have a very important role to play with each other. And of course, Pluto, the god of the underworld, the gatekeeper, in charge of the descent into the darkness, into the fires, you know, this total regeneration of the soul. You know, he is a powerful force. He carries the cloak of invisibility. He asks or demands our attention. We want to sit up and we want to listen. So, you know, this is an important piece. I'm trying to build, you know, as we move into the Aquarian process. Now, of course, on the other side of this picture is Darth Vader. Now, I can't do Darth Vader impressions. I have been practicing, but it just doesn't work for me. But Darth Vader, you know, he is such a Plutonian figure, of course. He is what is it in Star Wars? I can't think of what they call him, but he is the Force, you know, he is the Dark Knight of the soul. And of course, he is Luke Skywalker's father. And Luke doesn't know that until they confront each other in battle. And I remember, you know, Darth Vader saying to Luke, apart from telling him he's his father, it's time to face your anger, Luke. And I feel that is such a profound statement for us on a Plutonian level, that it is time for us to confront and face some of the pain that may have been suppressed, that should we not allow it to be released, it can consume us. And so Darth Vader, the god of the underworld, and I'm sure many other archetypal images. I love, like the girls were saying, working with imagery. I feel it's very powerful and it taps into the heart. And as an evolutionary astrologer, I feel like heart memory, feeling memory, soul memory is so important. So let's, you know, carry these two images forward. The one of the little girl with the beautiful flower that still has the hope of life. And now these two powerful forces that we carry within us when we are embracing and evoking Pluto. So let's move from that for just a moment and just think a little bit about the statistics of Pluto, the astronomy. Now, Pluto was discovered in 1930. I just want to see if I can move this bar. No, I can't. That's okay. We know that Pluto, there is a bit of a story around Pluto being discovered. It was actually discovered at a slightly different time. It was originally seen and thought to be another star, and then a few years later, actually then discovered as a planet. I'm trying to condense because there's a lot to get through today, but let's just stick with 1930, and that with the elliptical orbit of Pluto, of course, because Pluto is a long way out. And so it has this elliptical orbit like a rugby ball, and that means it spends, you know, as little as 11 years in the sign of Scorpio and as much as 30 years in the sign of Taurus, and of course builds and ebbs and flows through the signs as it does its complete cycle. So 248 years, as I said at the very beginning, all 4 of us are just about ready for our Pluto return. And yeah, so it's a pretty powerful time. Now, Pluto has 5 moons. And I'm sorry if I'm not pronouncing them correctly. Is it Charon or Charon? I hear different pronunciations. Styx, Nix, Kerberos, and Hydra. And Pluto's surface, and this I actually didn't know when I was doing a bit of research, is very cold would be an understatement. Let's say it can drop to below minus 220 degrees Celsius. The coldest weather I've ever been is minus 22, and that was just like far too much for me. So that's a pretty cold surface. And Pluto is situated out in the always mispronounce this, Kuiper belt, which is a region just outside of our solar system. And we've all talked about it being demoted astronomically, but astrologically, there is nothing to demote about Pluto. So just a few little pieces of information. Now, just going to move this. Pluto, I just want to go over a few key words to begin with. Because these pieces, words are very important, but when we really reflect on what each of these words mean, society is being asked to make some pretty important breakthroughs over the coming 20 years. And each of these words are like roots. And they are intertwined, as I said, in society, in the generation coming into today, and as well as in our personal stories. And just in relation to our personal stories, we are all going to have, as I said, Pluto in Aquarius somewhere in our chart. And we are all going to, hopefully, living long, healthy lives, experience Pluto squares and Pluto crossings from one house to the next, and Pluto in certain places in our solar return, and progressed planets coming up to Pluto, etc., etc. So even though Pluto is only ever going to transition through a small part of our chart in the big picture, it is going to evoke many pieces. And society, of course, are also looking at all of these themes right now. So just to pick a few of the words that jump out at me, certainly trust, truth and trauma. What are we all experiencing as a collective right now in relation to the traumas that are going on in our world? And I don't watch the news. I still manage to know about everything that is going on. I also have a mother that watches every news, and she always tells me what is going on, but I don't watch it because I am a very strong empath, and I know enough through my phone, and I try and do lots of rituals to send energy out. But the traumas that are going on, the abuse that is going on in the world today, we are all experiencing and feeling that it is affecting all of us. So how can we learn to tap into the truth and redevelop our trust in making these very, very, very important changes that we are all part of? Whether we are 5 years old or 95 years old, every single one of us on this planet is energetically contributing to the collective. And so, how can we work with this energy? How can we work with the loss and grief that Pluto can bring to the surface for us to confront? Because I think there's a lot of loss and grief going on at the moment. And I'm not I'm a Sagittarian sun. And as I said a few minutes ago, I believe that every piece, all of these cycles, everything the girls have talked about so far, what Mark is going to talk about shortly, they are all intrinsically designed by the cosmos And that's pretty unbelievable when we start to think on this level. But I'm not about it being negative. We need to, things need to die off, because when something dies off, there's an opportunity for something new to be planted and a regeneration of new life. So how are we able to work with this as humans living together on a planet? And, what renewal can come from it? Like this beautiful picture, and, we think about the phoenix rising from the ashes. How can we together, join forces? Because Pluto in Aquarius is about the unity of us as a collective, and really reclaiming something very important, not just for us on our personal journeys, not just for our generations, not just for society, but for Mother Earth. This is such an incredibly important time for all of us to be living in. So, we have a job to do. We're all here at this moment in time for a reason. And so how can, Pluto is a catalyst, a catalyst for change. And we are change makers. And I think that is very exciting. It is about metamorphosis. I love the story of, when I think about metamorphosis, and I think about the butterfly and transformation, and that beautiful story of the butterfly flapping its wings, because it has to flap its wings so it can break out of the chrysalis and come out and be a beautiful butterfly for such a short period of time. And the story of the little boy that saw the challenge of the butterfly and opened up the chrysalis so that the butterfly could come out. But of course, the butterfly died because it didn't have to do the work and the challenge to release itself, because someone with heart and love did it for them. But, I just even think about that, the symbols that speak to us, so just to talk about a couple more of these words, it is about confronting. Pluto wants us to confront. It wants us to probe and to penetrate. It wants us to work with themes of the underworld and taboos, because someone has to do it. We can't all shy away from the work that is to be done, that is maybe not so easy to confront. It wants to strengthen us. Pluto wants to strengthen us. So, this is an incredible time. There's lots of words that I've put there, but, these are just some. And I guess ultimately to become autonomous, but together in a united way that is, going to heal the earth and grow us into the future of humanity, our children, our grandchildren, our great-grandchildren, and doing that work for those that have gone before us. So, it's a big, big time. So now my screen does not want to move. So, there we go. So I had to put this little image in because, I wanted to lift the mood a little bit now. It's certainly not about doom and gloom. It's about empowerment. But Pluto, Pluto is in this picture going, what am I going to do with all of this? So I've just put a few questions for reflection up here. And I do also want to say, and I'm sorry, I actually meant to check in with everybody else, Mark and Julia and Deanna, but I will leave it to them to share if they are happy to or not. But I'm certainly happy to share this PowerPoint. I can gather them up, those that wish to share, and get them to everyone, or we can share them individually. But anyway, we can work that out if you would like these slides. Sometimes it's good to go back over them, even though I know you'll have the recording. So what is it that Pluto is asking us, society and personally? So I had a bit of a think about this, because I really wanted to come up with some questions that perhaps after this presentation in the weeks to come, because I think all the information you will be receiving will definitely absorb over the coming weeks. But just some questions for us to reflect on. I didn't want to forget them, so I've written them here. So in what way are we looking to take back our power? For change to occur, we first have to confront something. So what are we asking or looking to confront? Where in life do we need to descend and face the darkness? And, the darkness is not a bad thing, because to me, if we were to all go blind, which Lord forbid, but when we are blind or in the dark, all of our other senses pick up. And so to go into the darkness means that suddenly we can smell much more and hear much better. And, our senses are heightened in all other ways. So going into the darkness is an elevation of all parts of who we are. What truths are we now ready to be honest about? And I think that's a super important one, because as humans living here together, and I often think about that. I have family all over the world, and I think, as I go to bed, my dad's getting up, and all those people in the Northern Hemisphere are living their lives, and here am I in my little world, and yet we're all connected. So, facing some truths about where we have come to as a nation, as a global force, and what are we actually going to do about it? That's a good question. And where are we shedding our skin? Now, come on, slide. Just a couple of others. I love to think about Pluto as the archaeologist of the zodiac, because Pluto is about excavation, as is archaeology. And often when I'm in Greece on these trips, I'm lucky enough to go to a site where they're actually on a dig, and I go and watch them, and they're uncovering all this other world that's been inhabited by other people. And it's just incredible to be in that space. And so, I feel like Pluto in Aquarius is offering us opportunities to excavate something. But of course, on a personal level, very much so. Where is your personal dig taking place? What is it that you are wanting to bring from the deeply buried parts of yourself or of society or of humanity out into the consciousness, dusting it off, bringing it into the light, recognizing it? That's what Pluto wants of us. And, certainly in an Aquarius, it is, as I'll talk about in a minute, it is really about waking us up. So what patterns are needing to regenerate? What are our deepest fears? I'm just going to move a little bit quicker, because I know Mark's going to tell me before I know it that I have to hurry up. What must first die off so that a new birth can occur? And what's my ability to confront the emotional shadow issues of life? Again, as I said, this is right across the board. So we'll leave Pluto thinking over that, and we'll move on to the next slide. Pluto in Aquarius. Let's just see, now some of this is of course already occurred. Pluto first moved into Aquarius back in March of 23, and then back into Capricorn in June of 23. And then, of course, this year in January moved into Aquarius, where it will be until September. And it will make a very final bid Capricorn goodbye. And in November of this year, come back to really begin its passage. I mean, it has already begun, but I think this final retrograde motion into Capricorn allows Pluto to really say a fond farewell, I'd like to say. It's going to be an interesting time. Pluto's been in Capricorn for a long time, and we're going from Earth, thinking about excavation, thinking about mining, thinking about infrastructures, thinking about stock exchanges, thinking about corporate companies, thinking about so many things that Pluto of an earthy nature has been excavating over the past 16 years. And now, of course, it will take one last look at everything that has been broken down and is being rebuilt as it enters Aquarius. And there it will be until March of 2043, which is pretty confronting, because as we get older and then we think about 2043, like, wow. So this is now the beginning of this period. So let's now understand a little bit more about Aquarius energy.
5 minutes, Lisa.
And, oh my God. Okay. It might need to maybe be 10. Tell me when it's another 5 minutes, Mark, and I'll pick up the pace. Thank you. So let me just bring all of this up. So Aquarian energy. Now, I am very fortunate. I have living color, motion picture Aquarian energy in my life, because my youngest child is born in 1999, when there was a massive stellium in Aquarius, which includes his sun, moon, south node, and a gamut of other planets. So I see it every day and I love it, because he teaches me so much. But we have, you know, the rebel, the humanitarian, the revolutionary. We have a quest for breaking barriers and renewing our independence, and of course, freeing ourselves from restrictions, and recognizing that Aquarius, is about groupthink and bringing the power back to the people as a collective. Aquarian energy loves to push the boundaries, you know, loves to go against the flow, doesn't want to accept the rules, loves to forge new innovative ways forward and speak their truth, because to speak their truth and walk a lonelier path is a much, much more exciting venture than having to be modified and fall into line and not really say what you think, which of course COVID was just such an amazing example of exactly that Aquarian nature. We are all equal. That's one of the things I love about this energy. You know, whether I am the king or whether I am the man on the street that has no home, we are all equal. And that is very important, equality. Of course, it is also about claiming one's quirky approach, owning one's differences, embracing our marginality, and elevating our perspectives to break new ground. And breakthroughs sometimes mean that we have to be more creative, we need different perspectives, we need to tap into our brilliance, we need to be unconventional with our ideas. And hopefully, if we are getting all of that right, then we will claim our free spirit and commit to making an impact on society, the world at large, and our personal journeys. So that's a very, sorry, Aquarius, let's speed through that one. So, sorry, I don't know why my slides want me to tap them so many times. Hold on, there we go. So let's just very quickly, I'll bring all of this up. Look back at when Pluto was in Aquarius last. Now, lots of things happened when Pluto was in Aquarius last, but here are just a few of them. And I'm going to just condense the first three. You know, the revolutions. It was a period of revolution. Now, of course, revolution can be a little radical and it definitely can shock us, but ultimately, it is about making major changes. And the American, French, and industrial revolutions all happened in the period that Pluto was in Aquarius last. And the Age of Enlightenment, which was, of course, a focus of looking at reason and science and individual rights and philosophies, etc., etc. So it was a great period for that. Now, a little statistic I hadn't recognised, but do now, is that it was about the ending of slave trade. That occurred during the Pluto in Aquarius period. Fantastic. The founding of the US Constitution, and of course, the discovery of the ruling planet of Aquarius, which is Uranus. So, you know, all of this material that we are all talking about, you know, we could all do a 1 day or 2 day workshop on. So there's a lot for us to take in, but it's amazing, thinking about what's going on in the planet now. We've only just really, thinking about the space shuttle on re-entry. We've only just really re-entered Pluto and Aquarius, and look at everything that's already occurring. So to sum this up, sorry, Mark, there we go. It is time. I will read this just because of time. Because of time, I will read this to be faster. It is time. It is time for intense social change, innovation, and the rise of new ideologies and real progress so that we can together create social change, bringing the power back to the people and continuing to make positive impact on the masses and the world at large. I am a Sagittarian. I am very positive this can happen, and we are ready for the next revolution. So let's ascend together, joining forces to create a new awakening. And I love this picture. It just feels very Pluto and Aquarius to me. And when I sat down and thought about how do I sum this up in a paragraph, I just feel like it really is about a new awakening. So on a personal level, I'm so sorry to hurry this, but I know I need to. On a personal level, where in life are you ready to look at the truth within and trust enough that it is safe to delve deeply into the unknown, locked away pieces of yourself, like this young boy? Now, again, I'm saying I am talking about everything. Where are we as a collective willing to trust enough to look and delve? Where are we as individuals? If we have Pluto touching something of a personal nature, as in, we have Pluto on our moon or Pluto square our moon or Pluto on our ascendant or so on or so on. That is something we have asked for on a personal level. That is part of our soul contract. But of course, collectively and from a community masses basis, Pluto in Aquarius is wanting us to look into a lot of these locked away hidden pieces that, need to come back out into the light for us together to really work through. Just to, finish up, Pluto in, guys, sorry, hold on, I have to go back. Pluto in Aquarius, sorry, everywhere I put the little video seems to be exactly where the next slide needs me to look. Pluto in Aquarius through the houses. Now, obviously, I'm going to make this incredibly quick. I'm going to just introduce it in a couple of words for each segment so that you can go away and think about it. But I ask this: what stage is ready for a new set? As Pluto in Aquarius not only wakes up humanity and asks for a revolution of, a new dawning of reclaiming our power and digging deep and finding the truth that we all need to work with. But where in our personal journeys is Pluto in Aquarius? So, of course, as I said, this is just a very brief. Again, this could be a whole couple of days, but Pluto in Aquarius, as it moves through our charts, I just wanted to share this because the first house, the fifth house, and the ninth house they are houses of life. And houses of life relate to the fire signs, which are, of course, Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius. And so if you have Pluto moving through one of these houses, if you have Pluto, crossing your ascendant, which is obviously another whole topic, but if you have Pluto moving through your first house, I suppose I could say if you have seated Pluto in your first house, but thinking about it in Aquarius as it transits, that's something that you have asked to show up for right now in your contract. So what is it that you are asking to dig deeply into and find new truth about who you are and really transform, reacquainting yourself with yourself? Because it is time for a rebirth of your personality. And if you have Pluto in the 5th house, I also meant to just say fire houses, houses of life are about life force, and they are going to energize whatever we have. And Pluto and Aquarius, the dawning of the awakening of something very new and very innovative. So if in the 5th house, whereabouts are you being asked to open your heart and fill your cup with more joy, that you can express your truest sense of self and approve of it from your heart without the acknowledgement of anyone else, as you find more love around your creativity and your self-expression. And should you have Pluto in your 9th house in Aquarius, what is waking up? What is asking to be challenged in relation to your belief systems or your philosophies? Or maybe you carry imprints of being what is it called when you're an immigrant and you move? I can't think of the word, but anyway, maybe there's all sorts of imprints there. How do you find higher ground? Because the 9th house for me is definitely about getting a higher perspective. And with Aquarius, let's find new alternative ways of seeing things. So that could be just some of what's on offer. Earth houses, 2nd, 6th, and 10th, houses of substance, Taurus, Virgo, and Capricorn. All these houses are, I actually love the word substance, because substance is about making something real. And so what is it that you're being asked to make real? What is it that you are asking to get more secure in? Because Earth is about security. How are you asking to change on a radical new level your relationship with money, or your ability to know your worth, or to know that you are lovable and worthy of exactly what is being given to you? Or in the 6th house, what skills are you needing to regenerate and redevelop that give the community and humanity that skills that other people want? How are you looking to develop your health and well-being in a way that, is there something that you have to face in the dark so that you can have a renewal here? Or in the 10th house, what is your mission? What is your mission in the world? Because Pluto will take you and plummet you to the depths just as easily as it will take you and push you to your highest place. And just when you think that you're at the top of that mountain, you will be pulled back down again to address something. So your place as an authority figure and how the world see you may be some of what Pluto in the 10th house is going to offer you. In the air houses of relationships, 3rd, 7th, and 11th, we need other people. These houses are about relating, and they are very much about what is changing in your mind. How are you waking up to your new ideas? What is happening in your relationships? Are they equal? Is there trust that needs to be revisited? Are you codependent? Do you lose yourself in relationships where Pluto is coming in to say, you need to reclaim your power, girl or boy? That could be part of the Pluto 7th house journey. And of course, in the 11th house, Pluto in Aquarius, it's not the natural house, but it is in Aquarius, which is a natural lean into the 11th. So in what way is groupthink not acceptable for you anymore? In what way have you recognized that you have been taken off your journey and your life direction needs to come back on path? Because I always believe the 11th house is very much about my future, amongst other things. And finally, the water houses, also traditionally or old texts called houses of endings. I would prefer to say houses of completion, but they are about the soul of the family, amidst other things. They are a very deeply psychological, emotional complexity houses. And if you have Pluto moving through your 4th house in Aquarius, there is some what family hand-me-downs or attributes or childhood memories are you being asked to give back and let go and renew. You know, how are you looking to find a new image of yourself from the inside out? In the 8th house, of course, Pluto is very comfortable, and I have Pluto in the 8th house ruling my midheaven. If you are all wondering why am I going into so much depth and running over time, that could be part of the reason. But Pluto in the 8th house is about the redevelopment of our trust factor. It's about looking into the soul, looking into the eyes of a soul, and trusting that we can show all parts of ourselves, and know that that person will still stay and they won't go anywhere. And in Aquarius, it is about the liberation of that. And in the 12th house, perhaps it's a great time to do a family tree, or perhaps there are secrets in the family that now need to be broken, that you are now ready to work with. And of course, have a total spiritual awakening and transformation and rebirth. There is so much I would love to continue to say, but I'm going to leave it on this last slide, which are wise words from someone I loved as a child, which is Winnie the Pooh. And here we have Piglet and Pooh walking down their very well-known track, and Piglet says to Pooh, "What is the bravest thing you have ever asked, Pooh?" And Pooh replies, "Help," said Pooh. And I thought that was such a beautiful reflection to end on. So I'm going to say thank you so much. I am very grateful to be here. I am sorry I went over time, and I hope that what I've shared today has given you a lot to reflect on, and I thank you all very, very much.
Thanks, Lisa.